Before we get into the video, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. So Bugzy Malone has appeared in court today to deny 2 offences of inflicting grievous bodily harm. He is one of Manchester's most popular artists. Bugzy Malone, real name Aaron Davis, has been accused of punching 2 men square in the face and inflicting serious damage that resulted in 2 broken jaws. Now, the prosecutors have stated that the action of the punch was caused by an act of retribution after Bugzy Malone wrongly believed that they intruded and attacked his gated home, a court has heard. Now, the incident in question happened way back in September 9th, 2018, when the annual World Black Pudding Throwing Championship took place in Ramsbottom. So far, we know that a teenage girl and her mates were fans of Bugzy Malone, and for some unbeknownst reason, they decided that they were going to pay the rapper a visit at his home, despite the fact that these people are strangers. Now, one of the overzealous fans then made another silly decision by peering over the electric gate, and he kept shouting Bugzy Malone's name. So, when someone came out of the house, the teenagers all ran off. Now, common sense would state that you don't just turn up at a stranger's house and peer over his gate. You can't possibly distinguish between a fan and a quote-unquote op. Furthermore, even if the teenagers are fans, I'm sure no one would appreciate strangers coming to your house and shouting your name, whomever you are. You would be pissed. So, according to the teenagers' testimony, they implied that Bugzy Malone then got into his car and attempted to mow them down in a cold-blooded attempt to strike fear or cause real damage to the kids. Bugzy Malone himself told the police that he drove the car onto the car park where the teenagers had congregated in order to disperse the group before he went to collect a relative. Now, on Bugzy Malone's part, that was a dumb move. You can't just drive your car in the direction of another person. That's giving them ammunition to say that you acted aggressively and used unnecessary force or actions. Now, because the teenage boy who peered over the electric gate was pissed, he phoned a relative, and that relative came to where the boy and the girl were. Now, this is where things get murky. The teenage girl, whose plan it was to visit Bugzy Malone's house, her relative thought it was a good idea to go back to the property and talk to the rapper. But as they reached the entrance to the rapper's home, the teenage boy's relative, whom had been drinking, became more aggressive, more loud and more annoyed and more frustrated. Now, in his drunken stupidity, the relative picked up stones and threw them at Bugzy Malone's house and shouted threats. Your typical, mundane, drunken behaviour. Now, when there was no response, the relative then squeezed through the gate and carried on. So now we have 2 adults whom have trespassed on the rapper's property, and one of them have thrown stones and made threats, probably causing minor damage. They did this in front of the teenage kids, though the kids were safe on the other side of the gate. So, when all these stupid people left, a neighbour then confronted a small gathering and asked what they had done to the property. The police were also called, and Bugzy Malone was also called. And, in the heat of the moment, things got misconstrued. Here we have a drunken man who's been throwing stones and swearing and is a belligerent fool, and when Bugzy Malone gets the call, he hasn't heard the word fans. All he's heard is his house is getting done over, get home quick. Now, if you have worked hard to live a comfortable life and provide yourself with a good dwelling, and people think they can just damage your property as they see fit, then of course you're going to fly off the handle. The court heard Bugzy Malone arrived back in the area in his black Mercedes, walked straight up to the first male and then punched him in the face with 1 punch. He then walked over to the second male and then punched him again in the face with 1 punch. Both of these adult males fell like a sack of potatoes. Now, if these people are really fans of Bugzy Malone, then you would understand that the guy can box. The trial continues. Stay safe.